Hi, my name is Sarah Martinez, also known as the Cheesecake Lady of Lebanon, Pennsylvania, and I believe in God because when I turned away from Him after a life of living for Him, He saved my life, along with the lives of my closest friends, despite the way I was living being not that great. I grew up in a strict religious household. I grew up in church since I was 7 years old, and it wasn't until I was older that I started to feel like I wasn't experiencing it the same way as everyone else. I didn't feel what they felt. I didn't hear what they were hearing or experience what they were experiencing. So I turned away. I stopped going to church. I started dabbling in things that I shouldn't have, and I was just turned away from God for quite a few years until I went with some friends to go out to eat, and on the way there I felt like I was being talked to. And so many people will say, this is bullcrap, it's not true, it's not real, that doesn't make any sense, but it happened to me. I was told that I was going to be in an accident. And there's no way to explain it. There's no way, there's no special voice. It seems like it's just in your head. And that's what I blew it off as. I told myself I'm being paranoid. But I did tell my friend who was driving about what went on in my head. And he, knowing that I've kind of predicted things in the future just from, deja vu dreams, he took it seriously and he drove more carefully. We got to where we were going. We ate dinner. But on the way home, we were hit almost head on with someone who blew through a stop sign, and I 100% would have died in that impact. I would have flown through the windshield and died because I was not wearing a seatbelt, and they didn't slow down at all. They didn't touch the brakes, but somehow my friend, who claims he saw an angel in the middle of the crash, managed to turn the wheel just enough that we didn't hit a pole head on, and that saved my life. I did end up with a lot of injuries and questioning my existence afterwards. The first person I spoke to was my father, who I called while laying on the ground crying my eyes out, realizing that it wasn't just in my head, it wasn't just paranoia, that after so long of living away from God, He still chose to save my life and that of my friends. And from that point forward, I chose to be better. I chose to continue going to church. I chose to pray every day, start reading the Bible again, and not push it on others, but let them know that just because you were raised strictly to listen and follow certain rules doesn't mean that is how it has to be, or that that's how you have to worship God. It's a relationship between you and God only, nobody else. And it may be different from others, and that's okay. But it doesn't mean you have to live by anyone else's rules. God will always love you. He'll always be there for you, no matter what you do. It doesn't matter what way you're living or what you think of yourself or what others say about you. He will always be there, no matter what you do.